Razorback Nation, this is your new head football coach, Ryan Silverfield. Can't wait to get to Fayetteville and get started. We're going to bring a lot of success to the Hogs. It's so well deserved. Can't wait to see you. Go Hogs.
Woo pig? The Arkansas Razorbacks have a new head coach. As just heard, Ryan Silverfield from the University of Memphis, the 35th head coach in Arkansas program history. Robin, a ton to talk about with this one. I guess just initial thoughts.
I'm a little shocked, honestly.
I think everyone
I
is.
think we're all a little shocked, especially with all the other coaching news that has been going on today. It's been a very hectic Sunday, if you guys haven't noticed. So I'm just interested to see what the reasoning was by getting him and what happened to some of the other candidates that we've been hearing about, especially with Golish last week.
Well, and Hunter Yurachek providing a little bit of insight into that. He did issue a statement today talking about why he hired Silverfield, which we can get to that in just a second as you look at Silverfield's work here with Memphis. Now, he does have a winning track record with the Tigers, 50-25 in his time as their head coach. However, keep in mind, they were in the AAC, so that is a non-Power 4 conference. But again, in his tenure there over the last few years, he is one of the most winningest coaches in the NCAA football right now.
Yeah, and he kept them going with their streak in bowl games. And since he was there, obviously they went to bowl games, and he was 4-1 in his bowl games. And he's actually 2-1 against SEC opponents during his time.
So, yeah, if we can go ahead and maybe pull that Hunter Yurachek quote up for you here so you can see exactly what they saw in this man to bring him in as the next head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks. There you go. The first couple lines became clear during the conversations that Coach Silverfield shares our views of making the college football playoffs, I would hope so, and competing for a national championship. And with our new and significant financial investment in the football program, we are confident we now have the coach and resources to make that happen. Robin, throughout this whole season, ever since Hunter Yurachek kind of lit a fire at the Touchdown Club saying, yeah, we didn't really help Sam Pittman out, money has been a massive talking point for this program and trying to find a new head coach. Do you think they have it ironed out and figured out?
I don't know if they have it ironed out yet. I can't wait to see exactly what he's going to do with the recruiting, especially what he does with the in-state recruiting. That was a bigger issue with some of the Hog fans with Sam Pittman. So I'm interested to see how that goes. Now, his contract did come out, got 5 years, sitting at a little over almost $30 million there. So I'm interested to see what they're able to do with him and what they're going to be bringing in.
Well, as you mentioned, several big coaching hires throughout the day today. We actually do have those numbers for his contract and what the other coaches are making here in the hires, Robin. If we can pull that up for the people to look, because I know Alex Golish was a big name. I know that John Summerall early in the search was a big name. James Franklin even came up at one point here. If we can go ahead and get their contract numbers up for you to see and kind of compare where everybody's at. Silverfield, 5 years, $33.5 million. Very competitive as you look across. You see what Sam Pittman was making on his contract. But again, that was signed back in 2022. So adjusted for inflation and the market of college football now, you're looking at probably roughly the same. But then, as I was mentioning, the other three names, Golish, 6 years, $44.4 million with Auburn. John Summerall at Florida, 6 years, $44.7. And James Franklin, 5 years at $41 and about $750,000 million. It's fitting right into that model, Robin, but when you look at the other names that were a little bit hotter in the coaching search, it kind of makes you wonder how Arkansas didn't land some of those guys.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing for me looking back at those numbers is actually a pretty big difference between what they signed Silverfield with and what Auburn got Golish with. I mean, that's almost like $10 million difference there. I know he did sign a longer contract, but still, that's still something, even though it's pennies maybe, still something to kind of think about. I mean, the closest one to that was James Franklin, and he's at $41 million. So I don't know exactly what they were looking for, what Yurachek was looking for, and that's kind of something that could have kept a lot of guys, especially Golish, away from this program. Well,
especially if they can get the funding that Hunter was talking about there. If they do have the financial backing now and the boosters are excited and, looking at a name like Alex Golish, the more I dug into it, the more excited I got about that hire. Everywhere he went, success kind of followed him. In my opinion, he had a little bit better track record of turning programs around, finding that offensive success. Now, that's not to say that Ryan Silverfield's not going to do that. Very much a winning coach. As I mentioned, a 50-25 record with Memphis. I just don't know that he has as extensive a background as somebody like Alex Golish in terms of success and getting programs to really buy into what's going on there. But Memphis certainly did, and it's worked out for them.
Well, and I think the other thing is that we haven't seen him in the SEC.
Right.
He has only been in, the AAC, and then he's even been at Arizona State a few years ago, has had some stints in the NFL, but we haven't seen him in the toughest conference in the nation. So with that in mind, how do you take on something like that? And you look at Arkansas' schedule next year where they're playing Georgia, South Carolina, at Texas, at A&M. It's going to be very interesting to see what he's able to put together, especially when it comes to recruiting.
And that's sort of, you got to look at it. Fans need to taper their expectations, and I think they might very well have, as we'll look at the reaction here in just a few minutes. But you got to remember, he's stepping into uncharted waters for him in the toughest conference in America. Can he keep up with those people? And then you have to get a couple years of recruiting under your belt, get your guys in that you want into your system. Again, he's proven he can win, but not necessarily against winning teams. I know you have that stat on hand, and we're not trying to dishearten people that are excited about this hire, but these are the facts and the reality. Robin, what was that record against winning teams? Because when you told me earlier, I was like, oh, boy, that's not great.
On the road, it's 3-12 against teams that are above 500, and overall, it's 12-20. Now, that is not something you want to see, especially with an Arkansas program that has been going up against some really tough teams and getting those one-possession losses that has been plaguing this program for a very long time. That is not the type of stat you definitely want to see with a new head coach that, not a lot of people really know that much about him. And when you see this, and when I saw it, it made me very concerned, just, knowing exactly what this fan base is yearning for. And I just feel like with the hire like this, you almost take a step back. But Silverfield has proven that he can do great things on the offense as well, being one of in the top 30 in the FBS in scoring offense. But that defense still lacking a little bit, but has made some improvements. I just want to know what Hunter was thinking when he called
I think we all do, yeah.
That's it. But we will get a chance to talk to Hunter and to Silverfield later on in the week whenever he gets introduced on Thursday. So hopefully he can answer some of these questions that we all have, even some more like who he's going to be bringing over from Memphis, even if he brings anybody over from Memphis, and even if he retains some of the guys that are here on the staff currently, like Bobby Petrino.
And that very well could be something that happens. I don't know if it's going to. As Robin sort of mentioned, Ryan is an offensive-minded guy, but everywhere he's gone, to your earlier point, he has not been the play caller. Yeah. Outside of Memphis, he's not really been the main dude. He's kind of been ancillary. He's been on the side. He's been the offensive line coach. He's been an assistant. He's been a game tape evaluator, sort of those roles until he took over as the interim head coach at Memphis when Mike Norvell left for the Florida State job. Obviously, Silverfield was then named the full-time head coach the following season, and the rest is history. But he's outside of Memphis, he hasn't been the guy.
No.
So not having called plays, he might very well keep Bobby Petrino, keep a big name backing him, keep Hogs fans engaged. Say, hey, look, we know we're a little tepid. We're a little nervous with this Ryan Silverfield hiring, but we got Bobby Petrino backing him right now. We still got him calling the plays. That could be the case, but I think more realistically, when you have a situation like this, you're just going to want to start fresh. You're going to clean the slate, start from scratch. And plus, if you have Bobby Petrino, I know it's not his intention, but there's always just going to be that little tapping on the shoulder that, hey, he's right behind you. You better not mess up because Bobby's right there.
I mean, Coach Pittman saw that this season when they let him go. But I'm just interested to see, obviously, like I said, what Hunter has to say, what Ryan has to say, but also what he is going to retain and what he's going to bring in. We know that he met with the team earlier this afternoon and had a chance to get to know some of the guys and introduce himself and see who all is going to be staying from this current team and if he's bringing anybody over from Memphis, because from what we've heard, he's been able to recruit pretty decently in Memphis, especially when they have to compete with, Ole Miss just down the street. They got Tennessee, Vanderbilt, and a few other SEC schools just right in and around there. He's been able to kind of do a great job there.
Yeah, so we're looking ahead to the future, obviously. We can't predict that. We've talked to you about the present, the hiring, everything. if we can, just quickly before we get to the fan reaction and whatnot, if we can go ahead and pull up, we have a full screen graphic here addressing the timeline of this hiring. I think that's very important to look at the history of it. You can see there, Ryan Silverfield, that's his timeline at Memphis. He was 2016-17 offensive line coach, as we mentioned, sort of off on the side with all of these roles before finally stepping in as the main man in 2019 to 2025, and obviously accepting the job as the Arkansas head coach. But I do believe we also have a hiring timeline, correct?
Yes.
And looking at what's going on, there's his time as the Memphis head coach. Overall, we mentioned 50 and 25. Finished 8-4 this year, which is a bit of a step back, and you don't like to see that 4-4 record in the ACC play, not an elite conference like the SEC. That makes you a little bit nervous, but again, he seems steady, and that kind of is the feeling I get from this, is it's a safe floor hire. You kind of know what you're getting.
I think that's the best way to describe this, especially after he had 2 back-to-back 10-win seasons in 2023 and 2024. Like you said, a step back this year, going 8-4, and especially after, Memphis took down Arkansas at Memphis, and they were able to do some great things at the beginning of the season, and then just kind of plateaued and fell all the way down and went to a really deep valley.
Well, the problem, though, with what you just said there is Memphis took down Arkansas, and that's one of the few quality wins against Power 4 opponents that he has.
Yeah.
But for those of you that do remember, I know that a lot of us have tried to forget, Arkansas was going to win that game until a very costly fumble that, if we're being honest, Arkansas didn't need to run the ball right there. They didn't need to stretch for that extra yard. I get it, you're in the heat of the battle, but if he doesn't fumble that ball, he does not beat Arkansas, and then that record against good teams looks even worse.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to keep bringing this up about the one-possession losses, but hopefully he can kind of turn that around and discipline the team a little bit more, whether it was the team itself or the coaching. That's just something else Arkansas fans are not looking for. But then, like I mentioned, if we look back at the schedule for 2026, it's not a pretty schedule. It's not a pretty schedule at all when you're going up against Georgia, who's going to be competing in the SEC championship game this year. You also got South Carolina on there, Tennessee, A&M, and Texas. It is not going to be easy for him, and hopefully he can pull out some of those wins that Arkansas needs, especially after going winless in 2025.
Yeah, and the fans, I think, are a big part in this. The fans and their reaction, it's been lukewarm. And when you bring up stats like that, when you bring up records like that, it's really problematic.